thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive. You had been in the hospital for quite some time now, that you stopped counting the days. Alone in your white, sterile room. Crude drawings you made that looked nothing more than a few colorful strokes on paper were hung around up your bed with tape. On a small coffee table next to you, you were watching an episode of a really long anime on a cheap laptop your dad had brought you, so you wouldn't go insane from the boredom. You had gotten into the show when you got here, and it just barely reached the halfway point. Some silly show about pirates. Honestly, I'd lost the plot around the time zombies showed up, so now you were just enjoying the pretty colors. But your attention was quickly ripped off of your screen when the door to your room opened. In came a whole bunch of people, mostly doctors, while two nurses pushed in a bed. On it laid a blond boy, body covered in bandages, and he seemed to be fast asleep. Probably some emergency, and he was still knocked out. After the group of medical professionals had entered, two more people came in. One dressed all black with long hair, the other a small fuzzy white creature. Maybe the result of a mutation quirk? But before you got a proper look, one of the nurses closed the curtains around your bed. You shrugged and simply increased the volume of your anime, after managing to put in a pair of earbuds. Looks like your fortune of having a room for your own had just come to an end. The curtain remained closed for roughly 2 episodes of your show. And then, you dozed off. Hey. What? There was a voice. Hey. There it was again. After a third hey, you were finally awake. You looked around yourself. The curtains had been pulled back. It was still day. Or maybe already the next one. You blinked and then looked to where the voice was coming from. Hey. The boy said with a wide grin on his face. Who's here? He pointed towards the table your laptop was sitting on. You blushed. You wanted to thank him, but you couldn't. You shook your head in acknowledgement and then slowly reached out for the spoon. Cinnamon porridge. Just barely enough to fill your gut. But since you couldn't properly chew, it had to be enough. You grabbed the spoon with your entire hand until you saw the white of your knuckles and shakily began consuming the sweet concoction, trusting what the doctors told you about your meals. It must have had the double dosage of sugar because you could actually taste something. Or maybe your condition was just getting better. Meanwhile, the boy was watching you curiously, completely ignoring his own food. It was quite distracting, to the point where you could hear your own heartbeat. Besides, weren't hospital rooms gender specific? After half of your bowl was empty, however, you had enough and looked over at him. What? He barked. I'm just curious. You didn't answer. After an awkward minute of silence, he sighed. Fine. Just gotta try eating this crap. Oh. So he was just trying to avoid eating the food. This entire experience must have been just as awkward for him as it was for you. Name's Bakugou, he said after taking a bit from his own. Then after another bite, he grunted, swallowed, and growled, before saying, God, this is disgusting. You didn't answer again, and then he seemingly gave up trying to lift the mood. He finished his plate, pulled out his phone and began playing something on it. Music clearly indicating that there was Plants vs. Zombies. After finishing your own slop, you fell back onto your bed and sighed. Quiet enough so you didn't hear it. Alright, I give up. What is actually wrong with you? 'Cause you look fine to me. It had been a week since Bakugou became your bed buddy, so to speak. So far, your conversations had been very one-sided. You looked at him, but didn't reply. I know you can talk. Aren't you talking to your parents? He raised both hands in defense. But before you think I was eavesdropping, I put in my headphones and listened to music. So I didn't understand a thing. You blinked. I mean, yeah, you need help to move around, and you get catered out every day in your bed for something. Was being nosy his way of making friends? Was he even the type of person that wanted friends? He seemed a little rough around the edges. Though he seemed to have problems to shut up. After a minute of silence, he sighed. I know it isn't, like, my concern, but I can't... I guess I'm worried? Yeah, and that's what I'm supposed to say in this situation, right? Whatever. He had the sensitivity of a dump truck. They're both in hospital. For all I know, you could be dead tomorrow. He scratched the back of his head and blushed. Or not. This isn't the intensive care unit, but... Come on, you get what I mean. Realizing I was getting nowhere, he dropped the issue. Whatever, was all he said, with a sad tone before pulling the curtains closed. Somehow you felt him saying whatever with such pain. Did you feel bad? Of course you did, but not enough to actually talk to him. Do it to your condition. However, if you had known that tonight you would need his help, you probably would have. You had fallen asleep as per usual at around 10 p.m. Considering at home you stayed up until 7 in the morning most of the time, this had been a drastic change. But the hospital had strict times for eating: breakfast at 9, lunch at 12, and dinner at 7, so to prevent being hungry for long, you just adjusted your schedule. However, at around 3 in the morning, you awoke, covered in sweat from a nightmare. Honestly, you were glad it ended, thanks to your bladder. Problem was, even after pressing the need help button twice, the nurse didn't enter your room. This had happened before when there was an emergency, but you'd rather not pee in the bed, especially since someone else was in the room. You looked over to where Bakugou was. He was snoring quietly, but it was a little strange, like whenever he fell asleep. Probably something to do with his injuries. If it weren't for your bodily needs, you sighed and moved to the edge of your bed, sitting up. You let your legs hang down slowly until they stopped moving. Slowly you moved them around from left to right, hearing the noise of skin rub against the porcelain floor. And then you stood up. Immediately felt like you were falling, while in fact standing still, albeit very wobbly. Vertigo setting in as soon as you took the first step. It was too dark, even for a hospital room. And you whimpered during every step that was, until the floor gave away. How? Why? You must have twisted your foot by accident. Those were the thoughts in your head as you slammed on the floor unceremoniously. You coughed as air was pressed out of your lungs. With your arms and legs helplessly wiggling, you attempted to drag your body over to the bathroom, knowing full well that unless you could actually see where your arms and legs were, you would not be able to stand up. But when the pain of holding in your liquids became too strong, you began to quietly sob. Until you saw light. Did you finally die of your constipation? No, of course not. Hey. You heard Bakugou's voice as he jumped out of his bed. The fuck is happening here? He grabbed your shoulders and propped you against the wall. You definitely need help. You groaned out of your half-opened mouth. Please, bathroom. You pleaded to him. Sure, he said, concerned. You could only feel the pressure of his arms as he lifted you off the ground, carrying you to the bathroom. Gotta pee, you mumbled. Yeah, I got that. Just one moment. After turning on the light in the bathroom, he gently set you on the toilet before closing the door behind him. You could see the shadow of his feet from under the door. He was waiting for you to finish to carry you back to your bed. And once your business was finished, and you were lying back down, he spoke up. So after that, entertaining display, would you mind telling me what is wrong with you? You made a noise of discomfort, somewhere between a groan and a grunt. You moved one hand up to your mouth, opening your lips so you could speak. A few weeks ago, you started. I was attacked. You blinked, thinking about the right words. It was so weird talking after such a long time. He wanted to kidnap me for ransom. Your mouth began to hurt from talking already. Poisoned me with his quirk. Paralysis. You looked down at your feet. Poison. Real paralysis. But it's an infection to the nervous system. So I can actually move my body just a tiny bit. Your gaze shifted to your right, focusing on some undescribed dot on the wall. I don't know if it's permanent, but it's getting better. We just don't know how much better. It's in full recovery, just, better. I want to be normal again. Suddenly the door opened. It was the night nurse. My apologies, there was an emergency in room 6. Is everything in order here? Everything is okay. We did need help after all, said Bakugou with a confident smirk. The nurse left after one more apology. So, you can't feel anything? You shook her head. The fall didn't even hurt, just was a little scary. You paused for a moment and then added, I can feel pressure though. I'm sorry for you, he said. I really shouldn't be nosy. Just know, I don't say sorry a lot, so maybe that makes it mean something. Whatever. You shrugged. Anyways, most of my movements come from memory at this point. Like my brain knows how to walk, so that's why I need to properly see my movement. Of course, anything I do strains my nerves. I just lie all the time. At the beginning, I couldn't even move at all. It was too weird of a feeling. Oh, I lack thereof. Bakugou gave a light chuckle, more out of pity rather than amusement. That explains a lot. You know why you've been so quiet. I get ya. Does it hurt? Like talking? You nodded.
All right.
He grinned reassuringly.
Well, I guess I talk for the both of us then.
You deadpanned and he gave a hearty, albeit quiet laugh.
Ah! Whatever. Won't try lightening the mood again. Not good at it anyways.
Thanks, you said.
For what?
You blinked. For getting me on a toilet. You're my hero, you said and smiled. It was crooked, mostly because of your condition, but he found it absolutely adorable. And why are you here? You asked. He sighed sadly, a little happy that now the topic was on him.
Long story. Some stuff happened. Lungs took some damage. At least I got to save some people. But I can't do hero stuff for a while, since I have trouble breathing. Fuck. I can't run more than 5 seconds.
He sighed.
I feel like I'm 400 pounds too fat.
Your eyes lit up. Oh, so you're a hero then? There was pain in his eyes.
Hero in training. UA. 3rd year, he said.
After another moment of silence, he muttered,
I don't know if they can fix it. I want them to. It's my life goal. It's my dream. I wanna be number 1 one day.
I mean, if they can make me move again and feel things, even though it's just very little, I'm sure you can get better. Hospitals are pretty good thanks to the addition of healing quirks. He blinked in confusion. His eyes moved towards you.
Thank you. Didn't expect such kind words.
After a moment of silence, he turned around to return to his bed, but you leaned forward, clutching his wrist. The only indication that it was somewhat gentle was the fact that your knuckles didn't turn white.
What the?
With one strong tug, you got him off balance, and he landed on top of you. Your eyes met.
What are you doing?
He gasped, as your limp hands touched his face. You are quite handsome, Bakugou, you said. He exhaled a bit strained. Was this too much excitement for his lungs? Was this a mistake? Well, maybe you should just stop here? No. You leaned your head upwards. While you weren't able to fully purse your lips, Bakugou understood the gesture. Sighing to himself, he returned it. Such a strange experience. Like kissing an oversized doll. He gulped at the lewd thoughts he was suddenly having. That's when your gaze shifted out of instinct. One of his hands was kneading your chest. He retreated at the moment he realized what he was doing. It's fine. Keep going. It's not like I feel anything. He exhaled sharply through his mouth. Sharp pain rising through his chest. He needed more air, so he raised his head. Took 1, 2 breaths before looking back down.
Are you sure?
He gasped. You don't have to be gentle, but you probably should because of your lungs, you said, forcing another smile that turned more into a confident smirk. And that was enough for him to lose all self-control.